What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to talk to you about SoundHound. I want to go over some of the current data points, latest in updates, and what might be coming. Before we get into any of that, make sure you guys hit that thumbs up, and with that, let's get right to it. So SoundHound is up 3.52% during the pre-market. Depending on if I rant enough, then we'll kind of go over the market open and stuff like that. But things are looking pretty good for SoundHound, and my last couple of videos all said the exact same thing, that the technicals were showing a massive breakout was coming, and that's why I went from about 14 to now roughly around $18. As far as today, some key points to watch for. So we do have S&P data, so composite manufacturing services coming out right after the bell. Then we have Richmond data coming out at 9 a.m. Big Bad Powell at 11:35 as well. So a lot of that could cause some volatility, but news just dropped associated to SoundHound, and that was this. So Red Lobster partners with SoundHound AI to power phone ordering across all locations. So pretty good stuff as far as this. Keep in mind, Red Lobster is one of many subsidiaries. So if things go well for Red Lobster, then you can get a lot of other chains potentially, such as Olive Garden and many others. So I think this is a good stepping stone. And in my opinion, I think the news and interview that came out yesterday is more of a positive sign of what might be coming, because I think generally a lot of people always questioned why SoundHound is sticking to, for instance, auto, healthcare, and restaurants. They're not really expanding out of those sectors. But I posted this yesterday, so there was a interview with Michael, and so ultimately there was nothing definitive that was stated that SoundHound's doing this and blah, blah, blah. But the whole basis of this conversation was AI in banking. So for those of you that don't know, I cover quite a few other stocks. One is SoFi. So fintech is hot like crazy, and they are taking a massive market share from brick and mortar banks. So if you think about it, if brick and mortar banks want to get hip with the times and try and catch up to fintech and regain some of their market share, they need a SoundHound equivalent. So in my opinion, I do believe that this was more of a hint and an insight to what might be coming. And if SoundHound is able to really get some of the big brick and mortar banks on their side and partner with, that would be huge. Much bigger than restaurant, auto, and healthcare combined. Like if you're going in the banking sector, that is going to be where the real money is at. So at the end of the day, this might be nothing, and they might just be using SoundHound or Michael Alexander as a kind of a talking point on what might be coming in the sector. But it might be more specific to what might be coming for SoundHound, if that kind of makes sense. So at the end of the day, I see this whole interview as very optimistic. One thing that did come out, or several things that did come out, was a lot of 144s. So a lot of insiders were selling yesterday, but it is all for tax purposes, and it is clearly stated right down here. So in my opinion, nothing really to worry about. So you have Michael, you also have this individual, another officer, this is Kevin, and then you have Ming, and yeah, so forth and so forth. So at the end of the day, it is what it is. Moving on from here, shorts did return a little bit lately. So we went from around 34% short interest to 33.3%, so nothing significant. Although during the pre-market, shorts are increasing already 491,000 shares. So again, goes to show that today might be very active coming from them. But still, generally, as I've mentioned, I do feel, given the circumstances and how heavily shorted SoundHound is, SoundHound does absolutely phenomenal. So again, quickly going back over here, the fact that SoundHound over the last 5 days is up 18.2%, then over the last 1 month up 45.89%, with it being that heavily shorted, I think that's deserving of a round of applause. A lot of individuals kind of jumped on that whole Resolve AI bandwagon, which definitely did do fairly well, but that stock isn't heavily shorted. So if SoundHound had the same level of short interest easily, like we would be at like the mid 20s probably, in my opinion. So again, I think it's just a matter of time before shorts do F off. Looking at options, that was from yesterday. There's a consensus for it to be above roughly 1850 to 19. So that might come to fruition today. Bears are anticipating for it to be sub 1550 to 16. So they'll be rather disappointed. Aside from that, though, we did see a lot of good transactions that did occur yesterday. So, and even so far this morning, we're seeing a lot of good buying on the secondary market, in the pre-market, in fact. So again, goes to show that big money is really looking at SoundHound. And a lot of that correlates with the recent news that just dropped as well. So it was at 803, 805, 805. This 807 was a sell for 111,000, but everything else was a buy. Then these are all the transactions occurring on the dark pool. So a little bit more active. And of course, given what shorts are doing, it is fair to assume that some of this is linked with them. And depending on how today does play out, if anything, I'll do a PM video where I can just talk about SoundHound and some of the data points. But I think so far I've covered a lot of the main points that has been moving SoundHound and potentially could. Like I said, if they somehow get into the banking sector, that would be massive for the stock. If you're wanting to trade it though, with that 1798, it is trading between this R3 and this R2. So 1782 will be that key point to really watch for it to hold today, which, given the circumstances, it looks like it most likely will. Flip side, 2064 is going to be that next strong target / resistance. Most likely won't be touched today exactly, but dependent on kind of everything, and assuming GDP and PCE come out better than anticipated, we could see that being touched sometime this week. So once again, that would be a pretty good catalyst if it's able to get back to that $20 range, which might in among itself start to prompt some new analyst ratings. So we did get one about 6 days ago. I've already talked about this in a previous video, but $18 buy, H.C. Wainwright, Scott, who has a 65% or 35% success rating, giving him more credit than what he's due. But nonetheless, I think, for instance, even Daniel Ives might give a new rating back into the 20s, because I think he originally did give, it was like 21 or 24, but because of, I guess, everything in the macro conditions, he did lower his target. But nonetheless, like I said, if we get back to that $20 range, we could be seeing some pretty good new ratings. Aside from all that fun stuff, quickly popping over here on the actual chart itself, things are looking pretty a-okay. And so this is again showing the same type of setup that we had back in kind of November and December. So things are looking pretty good for that. And even looking at the market position right here, comparing yesterday with the day before, you have a lot more willing buyers. So again, shows that we could easily move up very, very fast. So just watch for a lot of those key points. One thing as well is looking at the flow from yesterday, algos weren't really that involved. So SoundHound went up a solid like 6+% yesterday, and most of that was due to institutional purchasing. So it's definitely welcomed because algos and shorts have been a very big attributing factor to SoundHound. But I think hopefully, given the circumstances, if we're able to get to that $20 range again, this is where shorts will just naturally leave. And aside from what I've brought up, there hasn't really been that much in articles or anything like that. So let me know your general thoughts on SoundHound. Have you been buying? Have you been selling? What's your kind of general 2 cents on everything? And because of the recent price action, it actually just hit my target. So for those of you that are and have joined my Patreon, you know when it was at 12, I gave good ratings, and I said that I was going to go to most likely 15, which it did, consolidated, and then I gave a new rating and I put down $18. So I guess during the pre-market, it just hit that, and most likely will exceed that as well during the trading day today. But if you're interested in having a follow-up, I'll do a post later today, if not early tomorrow, just on where I see things realistically going from here. So let me know your thoughts. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. And with all that said, appreciate all of you watching.